Hey, what's up guys? So one of the first things I like to go over with a new student, right, is let's look at a couple chords. Let's look at a progression, better yet. I like to take the progression in the key of G. We have G, we have D, E minor, and C. And we'll look at these variations a little bit later down the road. Technically what they're called are G, D, and then we have an E minor 7, because we have a 7 in the chord, which we don't need to explain to any new student yet, because it's a little too confusing. And then we have C2, because that's going to be the 2 in the C chord, which is also confusing, right? Don't worry about that though. What's easy about this progression is it's the 1, 4, 5, 6 pattern, which explains, the whole thing of every pop song has 4 chords. And we're playing easy transitions by keeping our 3rd and 4th finger glued to the 3rd fret of our 1st and 2nd strings. And then we're just moving around mostly our first 2 fingers. So when we go from G to D, we simply lift up our pinky and we place our 1st and 2nd finger down now on the 2nd fret of the 3rd and 1st string. Transition back and forth, right? Then you can go to E minor 7, which is very similar to G. We're simply moving our 2nd finger from the 3rd fret of the 6th string to the 2nd fret of the 4th string. Now, finally we change to our C2, which is like the G, same shape, only we're moving our fingers down a string. 3rd fret and 2nd fret now of 5th and 4th string rather than 5th and 6th string. And you can really play these in any order, but how I teach them is for a song called How Great Is Our God, which goes, how great is our God. And now strumming pattern, of course, is essential, right? So what would be a beginning strumming pattern I teach? It's this one right here. It's going to be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and let's dissect this a little, shall we? 1 and 2. So I'm placing an accent on the 2. 1 and is going to be just the top 3 strings. And then I do all the strings on the 2. 1 and 2. And this is 8th notes. Quarter notes are 1, 2, 3, 4. Just 1, 2, 3, 4. That would be quarter notes. But 8th notes now is splitting that up like a pizza. Instead of 4 pieces, it's going to now be 8 pieces. Fun to explain, right? So I'm doing 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Another accent will be on the 4. It's similar to percussion or drummers. Think of how the bass kick is on the 1 and 3, and then the snare is on the 2 and the 4. It's like bass kick, snare, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Similarly, we're doing accents on the 2 and the 4. It's how we get a little bit more of a percussive feel, especially if you're playing an acoustic guitar, which is what this song could commonly be played on, right? But looking at the strumming pattern again, we had 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. So, like so. And then I throw in something cool, which is how we embellish it up a little bit. When we change chords, I like to 2 and 3 and 4 and that's going to be introducing the upstroke and 16th notes. It's like 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and up. Because now instead of going 1 and 2, it's like we're going 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 16th notes. Like we're splitting the pizza from 8 pieces now into 16 pieces. The last 4 and is like 1 piece of pizza split into 8 pizzas, split in half again into, that party size pizza pieces. The ones that were just too small and were pretty lame, right, at the parties. 2 and 3 and 4 and we lift up just our first and second finger to do this, and this keeps the smooth transition. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and up. Notice I lift my first two fingers up, then E minor 7. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and up. Then finally to C2. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and up. 1 right there. So that would be the first lesson, right, on strumming and rhythm. Now, what about introducing students to the beginning, the essential knowledge of theory and scales and all that? Well, a lot of that is down the road. It's a little confusing. However, what I do introduce with the basics of rhythm, I also introduce the basics of, the musical alphabet. So, for example, when we went through the acronym, Eddie ate dynamite, goodbye Eddie. So this is essential, right? Because you need to know as a new student how to tune your guitar, for example. So I need to know what are the notes of each string. And then of course, if a note is tuning something completely off, if I meant to tune my fourth string here to a D, and by the way, the strings are labeled with size, starting with 6 being the biggest number, and then 1 being the smallest string. Okay, 6th, 5th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, 1st string. So once more, Eddie ate dynamite, E-A-D, goodbye Eddie, G-B-E. All right, now we need to know if we're tuning a string, right, and this happens to be down here, that's gonna say C on a tuner. And then of course now you're thinking, oh, well, how, this is supposed to be a D, it's the 4th string. How do I tune it to a D? If I'm getting C, how do I find my way to the correct pitch? Do I tune it a lot higher or a lot lower? And then students, I find, end up being aimless, not knowing what to do. So it's essential to learn the musical alphabet, right? We have A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then we start back at A. We don't have H. And how this is commonly taught and how I should imagine that we need to visualize it is the C major scale. Why? Because C has all natural notes. And we begin this out on your 3rd fret of the 5th string. Okay? Now, the major scale formula is what we need to know when it comes to memorizing the letter names as well. So I teach the major scale formula, which is the concept of whole and half steps, right? Whole step being 2 frets, half step being 1 fret. We go from the 3rd fret of the 5th string, the A string, which, take note, is the first dot if you look up here on the neck of the guitar. Good reference point. We go to the 2nd dot, which is the 5th fret of the 5th string, 2nd dot. And this is our D. We follow the musical alphabet. C, D, this is a whole step, 2 frets. We do another whole step in the major scale formula. We start with 2 whole steps, 1 whole step, 2 whole steps. This is going to be E, C, D, E. This is also your 3rd dot, 7th fret. 3rd, 5th, 7th fret. Okay, 1, 2, 3 in the major scale formula. Totally, we have this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then back to 1. Same note right here. This is called an octave. 15th fret, 3rd fret. Similarly, we have the 2 dots at the 12th fret. Check out this concept. 15th fret brought down to the 12th fret, that's 3 frets less. Likewise, 3rd fret brought down to open, 3 frets less. We have the same note here. 12th fret and open is an octave. An octave is a note of the same pitch being played at a higher or lower register. Back at our C major scale, right? Whole, so 3, 5, 7 frets. Then we have what's called a half step. There's going to be 2 of these in the major scale formula. The first one is E to F. Okay? 7th to 8th fret, 5th string. All right? So we go C, whole step, half step. Then we proceed to do 3 whole steps. 2, 3, okay? And now what are these notes? Well, follow the musical alphabet. starting on the F. F, we have G, A, B. All right? So now we have C, D, E. That's 2 whole steps. Half step to F. Then 3 whole steps. F. Then we have G, A, B. And then we have our second half step. The 7th to the 1st scale degree. This is B to C. Okay? Whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. All right? Now, take this concept of the major scale formula from that C major scale. We're not going to focus on the notes, the letter names, but we are going to focus on the formula being practiced in a different position and a different starting point. So, for instance, instead of the key of C, go to your top string, the key of E. This will be E, because this is an E note. Now, what was the major scale formula we learned with C? We went whole step, that's going to be to the 2nd fret. We did another whole step, 2 whole steps. So, whole step, that's the 4th fret. Then we do a half step, this is 1 fret. That's going to be 5th fret. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, then we do 3 whole steps, remember? So 1, 2, 3, and then we finish from 7th to 1st scale degree with 1 more half step. All right, 12th fret is where we finish. So we're going 0, 2, 4, these are frets. 0, 2nd, 4th fret, 5th fret, half step, then 7th fret, 9th fret, 11th fret, and then finally, back to 1, 12th fret. Same as the open 6th string. So there you go, guys. That's what I would teach you in a nutshell if I was sitting down with you and we were having our first in-depth lesson. I hope this helped. If you would like to learn more, I have courses in the description that I'd love for you to check out. If you want to go more into detail about this, then I recommend taking my course Guitar Shapes. I recommend my other course too, Fingerstyle Techniques, beginner to intermediate level, where we're going to go through different chord progressions and how I use fingerstyle techniques to create nice melodies when I'm playing through a lot of common chord progressions. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to like this video, leave a thumbs up, and comment what you would like your next lesson to be on. See you in the next video.